You all can
Yes.
for a second. Yeah.
All right, so
Would you like chromatic scale first?
would you like to?
Sure.
All right, chromatic scale first. Make sure I write Evan on the top.
B flat.
Ooh.
A.
Can you
Are
ask
you
one
okay?
attack?
Yeah, okay.
Can I get my inhaler?
Okay.
Yeah, just go back when you can. All right, go ahead. You can play this all the way through and just count the rest when you get to them. Okay?
Wait, this is
Got
so
all of
fast.
Yeah. Anything less than 4 bars,
So if it is 4, should I just skip it?
you can just take as much time as you want and go on. last but not least, our last sight reading. Thank you.
Should I keep this?
Sure. All right, well, if the judges finish up all the writing, we can talk for just a bit.
I'm just not gonna look you.
Here, Evan, here, I'm gonna talk to you about it while they're writing their stuff. I thought you did counted this one perfectly. This one, you played them all exactly the same. So I'll have it recorded so you'll be able to hear that. And then you did something strange like that when I was doing before.
Did my scales or?
A couple things. So here, as far as also made everyone need to rest longer.
I did?
Kind of make it go slower and slower, so when you again listen to tape and stuff. And your scales, remember the scales have to be da da da, not da da da. So the judges will actually care about that, right? Because sometimes we practice them for different auditions, different ways, but for this audition, all straight tones don't make the tonic longer than everything else. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And then make sure the chromatic is 1, 2, 3, 1, and really feeling it in the triplets. Okay? I will stick that up on YouTube and you guys can listen to it before now and
Okay.
see on Tuesday. But otherwise, excellent job. We will, all right, gather up those. Is everybody done ready for Evan? Let me just chat for a bit. Evan's pie?
This letter, I think this is written.
Oh, sure. So who thinks they played that better than they've ever played it before in their lives? It's different. So thank you very much for our parents being our scary audience, because it's different playing it for people, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know what? You guys can practice auditioning between now and Saturday,
Yeah.
right? Whatever parent or sibling wasn't here tonight, or even the people that were will do it again. You warm up in one room, and then you go into another room and say, I have to do it the first time all the way through. It's different than being in the comfort of your own practice room and being able to do it 2 or 3 times through. It's that feeling of, I gotta get it right the first time. It adds a little pressure. Also, how many of you guys have phones? Or access to a phone, or have a parent that has a phone?
Yeah.
Right? So you can videotape it. Somehow that little red record button just changes everything a little bit, and then it's a great practice to be able to listen to yourself back too. Okay? Because none of you played with the dynamic contrast today that I've heard you play in lessons. Everybody, their louds kind of got here, and so we had sort of this middle range. And remember, when these judges are listening from 8:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's going to be a handful of kids that are just amazing, that all they do is eat, sleep, and music, and this is what they do, and they're going to be great. And there's going to be a handful of kids that really, really,
They
should have bed that day.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be like 75 kids who can play the piece. Some might play a little faster, some might play with a little bit nicer sound, some might play with a little bit more musical feeling, some might play, so there's all these little subtleties, so we want to make the job as easy as possible for the judges, okay? Your scales need to be perfect.
Yep.
The first time,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
So between now and Saturday, lots of repetition. There's only, 7 of them, and your chromatic for the wind players. Do them over and over and over and over and over again, okay? You all know them, but none of you are 100% consistent, okay? So, and we don't know which one, with the luck of the bowls, we don't know which one they're gonna ask. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're feeling really confident with our scales.
Yeah, I'm a little suspicious with the E flat.
Yeah.
It found you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know whether they're, what ones they're gonna ask. And then as far as the piece, especially for the clarinet players, they will not ask for all of that. So practice starting in the middle, practice just playing the first page, sort of just don't let it throw you off if they actually, start here and then start here, okay? Saxophone, they might listen to most of that. It's not as long, violin absolutely not gonna hear all of that.
Yeah.
And there's just no way of knowing where they're gonna ask. But it was interesting because I heard Bryn play that a few weeks ago actually at a recital, and it was very different playing it all by yourself with people staring at you, right? It's harder to be as musical when you don't have the piano accompanying you, when you don't sort of feel, the lights aren't turned down low, it doesn't have this sort of recital feeling. But if somehow you can get yourself, when you take that deep breath and you're about to start playing your piece, you can think about performing the piece as opposed to being judged on the piece. Okay, that means taking a deep breath, thinking about your tempo before you begin. Clarinet players, it's hard. You guys have about 4 different tempos. You have to keep switching back and forth. Saxophone's a little bit easier. We kind of stick, and once we get that tempo, we have a tendency to rush. And that's very normal. When we have, our heartbeat's a little faster, we're feeling a little bit nervous. So remember that and tell yourself, go slower. Okay, Joe? Because I think that's just, it's a common response when we're nervous, is to rush. And your piece is meant to be very slow. Okay, so that's going to be a hard thing to be able to pull back, but that's what you need to do, even when you're a little bit nervous. Okay, clarinet players, like I said, you guys have just a lot of different tempos, you have to be thinking about that. Okay, so remind yourself whether you want to write in big letters over your piece, dynamics, breathe before you begin, just to kind of get yourself settled. Okay, because as you saw, that's one of the things they're judging a lot on. Okay, and then I said with the scales, it's the articulation, it's the rhythm, it's the full pattern, okay, being even with it. The sight reading,
Yeah.
was there any part on there where it judged how fast you went?
No.
No. I gave everybody 6/8. Why did I do that?
Because it's the hardest one.
Because it's hard. And I would not be surprised at all if the judges do that to you. Not one of you played your sight reading perfectly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's not easy, right? When you were counting eighth notes, right? We're 6/8. You all chose to count eighth notes, which is great. But then sometimes you got your 16th notes, you played them exactly the same. And then sometimes with your tap, all of a sudden you try to fit 3 8 notes in that tap. So make sure when you leave today that you bring home a copy of your sight reading that you played, so that when you watch it on YouTube, you can follow along and see where you went wrong. We'll talk about it in your lesson too. Okay, so that was a really common theme. Also, whether you forgot you were counting eighth notes, but the judge doesn't know how you're counting, and they're not going to judge whether you're subdividing or not. But once you've chosen to subdivide like that, you've got to keep it consistent all the way through. As you notice, some of them had no dynamics. Somebody just had piano. Did they play really soft?
Nope.
Not soft enough.
Yeah.
Some people only had one line was one dynamic, the second line was there enough change? No, so you make a huge change. So the judge go, wow, they got soft. Not like, oh, I think maybe they got a little softer. Okay, we want to make it as easy for them as possible, make those dynamic changes really, really big. A couple things, so especially for the wind players, that morning, do you know, Joe, what time your audition is yet?
No.
Evan, do you know? Have you heard anything? So we know these guys are a little bit later in the afternoon, but don't go practicing for 3 hours that morning. All you'll do is make your mouth tired. Don't go practicing the 3 hours the night before either. Okay, the night before you can play through your scales, you can play through your piece once or twice. That's it.
Yeah. You'll make your fingers tired.
Yeah. The morning of, you can just make sure also for replayers the night before, or actually this week, have 1, 2, and 3 your choices. Okay, so Friday night, make sure read number 1 still feels as good. Saturday morning, check in, read number 1 good, but then when you get there, if all of a sudden you're not so happy with it, you've got 2 and 3 as choices. Okay. I think the people who did this last year will say that when you get there, it's a little crazy. You're like in a gymnasium or a
and then they
cafeteria.
Yeah.
All together, everybody blasting, the trumpet players, the French horn players, the
Actually, I
clarinets.
didn't think it was that loud actually.
Do they have maybe they don't have a wooden room, a brass room, a string room?
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure if it was just woodwind.
It depends on who's riding, so just try, if it's possible, to block all of that out, and then don't go try racing through your piece when you're in there, warming up some long tones. You can stare at a piece, you can play a couple slow scales, but don't try playing your piece. All you're going to do is get nervous, everybody's listening to you, you're going to be sure you're hearing it faster than you've ever heard it before, and just try to tune it all out and just focus on what you're doing. When you go from that room, a person will come in and say, okay, Lincoln Sudbury or whatever, Waylon, come with me. So mouthpiece.
We did it by person, like just.
Oh, it's just called the
Yes.
actual
Yeah, it's called
individual
a
people?
person, yeah.
Mouthpiece caps on for all 3 of you, make sure the mouthpiece cap on. If your reed breaks between then and walking into the room, that's very sad.
Yeah.
In your pocket, extra reeds, and you can have your swab. have a tissue. You can have like a little baggie to carry with you, right?
You also get what?
Nothing worse than walking through and all of a sudden, uh-oh, right? You wanna have a tissue ready, and a little bottle of water is great too. Okay, and for you, making sure you're all rosined up before you leave that room, right? Bow tightened, remember your sister went through a whole one time for forgotten to tighten her bow. So getting yourself settled before it's.
Wait, what happens if you don't tighten your bow? If you don't-
They're really floppy and it's really hard to control, doesn't sound so good.
Oh, is that what happened?
It's like playing in your reed that's completely, you
Is
know,
that what
broken
happened to her?
One time, not this year, but one time.
Oh,
Okay, so for those of you that have done this before, any advice or insight into how it went before, what to expect?
I thought it was actually, you made it sound worse than it actually was.
So it wasn't as scary.
Yeah, because like once you're there, you're not really nervous anymore because you already have to play. So yeah.
And you had played 3 different rooms,
And there was
correct?
only there was only one other person with me. So
Just a judge, right? Just
no,
one
no,
person
no,
judge.
no. I mean like person outside. There was
Outside.
only one other person.
Right, but and that can be different year to year though, depends on
Yeah.
how backlogged they are, be busloads of kids. When you get asked to wait in the hallway, you can no longer play. So that's when you can make sure your reed is wet, that's why you want your mouthpiece cap on, and you can sit there and just think about your music, you can finger your stuff, okay? It's a chance just to get focused, okay? But you can't actually play once you're in the hallway. So if a long time has elapsed by the time you get brought to the hallway, feel free to tune a couple notes, okay? And if you need to readjust your reed, re-wet your reed, do whatever you need to do before you begin to play, okay? Evan, you have anything to say about the whole process last year?
I don't know, it's you.
No?
That's good.
So, your goal is to walk out of there feeling like that was the best you could have done.
What did you do it last year?
No.
No. Oh.
Yeah, Joe and Brandon did not do it last year.
Oh, yeah, weren't you skiing?
Sure.
Yes, I was
That's true.
So, because, you know, whether you get in or not, you know, we don't know if this year there's gonna be some amazing kids that didn't audition last year that show up, there's some younger kids that come, for those of you that made it last year. You know, don't be frustrated if it doesn't work out this year. Every year's different, different judges. Your score may be nothing like what your score was last year because they're not looking at that, they're starting all over again from scratch.
Oh, so is it going to be a different number this year?
No, but I'm just saying if the first couple people I hear in the morning are amazing, all the scores will be low for that day. The first 2 people I hear are, you know, really awful, then that just affects the whole scoring process because they know they've got all day to hear and they're trying to end up with as few ties as possible. But they will have ties, and there's no great way to break it because there's no recording.
Wait, so how many? Can you only have so many people accepted?
Correct.
Wait, so if there's a tie, do they lower one
They-
person's point?
Exactly, they'll bump them up or down by 0.5.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do that in the office, sometimes the person that's judging will do it, but it will get changed. They don't
Wait, I'm hoping, are they like looking at you while you're recording, or are you like?
You're recording? Playing, you mean?
No, when you're playing in front of them. Are
Did you
they-
feel like they were staring at you, Thomas, when you were playing?
Well, I was playing, so I was focused on the music. I
Yeah,
couldn't be staring at me. I had to sit
I mean,
down.
I just stand in front of you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brent, if you need to adjust that stand or whatever, or, you know,
I don't want
I
to
mean, a
look
little
at
hard
them.
to, yeah, you just look at your music and focus on your music.
But they're really not like that intimidated. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not that.
But it's absolutely great to walk in and, because when you get to senior district, it's all behind a screen, you're not allowed to speak when you walk into the door.
Because
For
they don't
junior
want-
district, you can absolutely say hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and when you're done, just say thank you. Don't say, did I make it? Was I better than the kid before me? I made it last year, do you think I'll make it this year? The judges don't want you to hear any of that.
Yeah.
Just thank you so much for your time, have a nice day, enjoy the rest of your day. Just something like that is perfectly fine. Wear something comfortable and nice, no ripped jeans and t-shirts,
Yeah.
but they're not judging you based on how you're dressed, so you want to be comfortable.
But they want you to look.
But yeah, it certainly, let's face it, we're all swayed by what we see, so if a kid comes in with the ripped jeans and the ripped t-shirt and just kind of, you know, hairs looks like they just got out of bed, it gives the impression they don't care that much. So it's better to be, but you don't need to be a suit and tie, you just don't need to be real dressed up so you're
Most
uncomfortable.
kids actually dressed up last.
Yeah, it's interesting, in senior district, I brought my daughter this year, a whole busload of kids came in, like dressed to the nines, the boys in
Yeah.
tuxedos and
Oh.
it's behind the screen. They didn't even see them. I'm thinking, did there nobody tell them? Like nobody's gonna see them. But I don't know if the band director thought, well, because that's what they're used to performing in, that would feel like a performance to them. But the entire school came, the girls in dresses and the boys in tuxedos. And I thought that was really funny. So
So you go over.
yeah, I mean, we live in a much more casual world. That's the reality. But still, as a judge, I think it's important to look nice, but no, you don't have to have a dress or a skirt on. But a nice pair of pants, a nice shirt is fine. Boys, you know, what you're wearing is great. Yeah, so something comfortable but nice is totally fine. Any other questions, parents? So the school will tell you when to drop them off. Every school's a different time. With the technology it is these days, you often found out that night. depending on your band director, whether they want,
Yeah,
the
they
band
found-
director will find out that night whether they choose to
Yeah,
pass all the
and
information.
then on the Monday, they normally give you what your score was and everything.
You're actually right, so eventually, so
Yeah.
you might find out right away, like in our like senior district, what they did was they sent out an email that night, congratulations, so these are the kids that made it. Not like, oh, you didn't make it, so if your name's not on the list, then it's like,
Yeah, that's what they
well,
did
back
for
in the
teachers.
old days, you used to, you know, post it, or you announce it at band rehearsal, these are the kids that, you know. So it's kind of nice, you have the weekend to sort of get over it if it didn't work out
Yeah,
your
that's
way.
right. Yeah, yeah.
I think we learn on Sunday.
Yeah, we
Sunday last night.
yeah, we auditioned on
Saturday,
Yeah.
we're on
Yeah.
Saturday.
we
Saturday,
went
I
the same
say,
night. Yeah,
wait-
it was
wait
like
till
as
this
we were,
week.
that was like the night of.
The
Yeah,
night
Kept
of.
reloading?
yeah, we got to reload the email like every 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then when you get back to school, they'll hand you your actual copies
yeah.
of it, so that you'll
And then
have.
Miss Pagano actually went over it with me.
Yes, which is a nice thing to do too. Which is good and important.